everybody, and welcome back to the Cleaning Business Mentor Podcast, where I am your host, Carolyn Arellano. And I have a very special guest on today, somebody that I have actually been following, and I would really love to introduce her to my YouTube community because she is just amazing at everything that she does. Welcome, Ms.Corina Burton, the CEO and founder of CPR Construction Cleaning. How are you?
Good. And I just realized I'm wearing my unstoppable hat instead of my CPR clean hat.
No. I love it. No, I actually love it. I love everything that you're doing. But I'll let you give yourself a quick introduction to my YouTube community for those that are watching and listening.
Awesome. Okay, but first I'm going to give you a shout out because we've been following each other for, I think since 2020, 2021, 4 or 5 years, and to watch like how you have grown so much and grown your following and have been so consistent. Thank you. That is such a key thing. I'm just super proud of you. And I love seeing people who are really good people make their way up and kick ass in the world, right? And so you're doing that. I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
This has been
So much.
awaited time for me to get on your podcast because I've honestly wanted to. It's just when you invited me, it was kind of a really funky time. So Corina Burton, I founded CPR Construction Cleaning back in 2019, and it has been nothing short but a roller coaster. Good, bad, beautiful, ugly, evolution, loss, and in the midst of all of it, and wins. I don't want to end with loss. I want to end with something positive. But in the midst of that, I created Unstoppable, which is the hat that I'm wearing. And for me, it's not a word, it is a being. It's what you do every single day. You're not going backwards, even if you're moving slowly forward. So to me, that is being unstoppable. And I believe that anyone who is willing to put in the work can also be unstoppable, right? It's not just meant for like our superheroes that we see being very successful online, people with large followings. It's meant for anybody who wants it. So that is me. I guess that's me in a nutshell, but I can go and elaborate a little bit more. I'm just not.
No, for sure. No, absolutely. So first, I did want to say, Corina and I actually met. We have been following each other for quite a while on social media, but the first time that I actually got to see you in person was at a cleaning event. I believe it was like the first cleaning event or any kind of networking event for business that I had ever been to. But there was just something about you, like your presence on stage, the way that you carried yourself. And I just remember watching you and I'm like, I want to be like her. Like, I don't know exactly what it is that she does. Like you were talking about the business, but I'm like, I want to be like that confident, right? And like that powerful. Because it's like when you were on stage, it was like everybody was talking, but it was just different. It was like seeing you, I could also like almost like see myself being on stage and speaking. So I just want to say thank you for like giving me that little bit of motivation and spark, even though like at that moment we had no idea who we were. But I just remember watching you speak and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, number one, obviously you're breathtakingly beautiful. That's the first thing, right? But then the second thing is like, you were just the way that you compose yourself, the way that you spoke, and you could tell that like the topic that you were speaking on in the profession that in the sector that you were in, like you just knew so much. And I just thought like, like I said, I looked up to you because I'm like, this is such a male dominated industry. Number one, there were all these guys on stage. I wasn't seeing too many women, speakers there. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for inspiring me just by even like going out and like doing your events and doing the speaking that you do, because it definitely gave me the push, to want to get out there and like speak more and involve myself. So yeah, I think it's amazing everything that you have been doing since 2019. So for those of you that are just listening in, so Corina did start her cleaning business, construction cleaning, and then she now has the Unstoppable brand. So how did you navigate that? Because I know you from 2019 to now, like you said, it has been a really big journey.
Mhm.
It's been a lot of learning, a lot of growing for yourself. And at the same time, like I've also seen you, grow and change. And now you have your brand, which I love. That's why I'm so happy you have that hat on. Because so many people think that when they get into like one business, doesn't matter if it's cleaning or not, but they think that that's just like, that's what they're going to do. That's what's going to happen. They're going to make some type of plan and that's how it's going to work out. And that's just not the case.
I know. You never prepare, you can never actually prepare for the evolution and the roller coaster you're about to embark. When you're somebody who's very ambitious and has a desire for growth, there are a lot of businesses that don't experience the same kind of ups and downs, mostly because they get to a point and then they stagnate, right? So there's no growth. And I don't believe that our downs are what keep us down, or obviously I don't believe that our circumstances define who we are, or our situations, our opportunities, our future. And they're learning tools on how to improve so that you go down and you slingshot back up, but it's higher than where you were, right? You're always going to go higher than where you were if you continue to push forward. So it's really interesting to even understand or like to network with other entrepreneurs, because some people are not willing to take risks. Some people are taking on generational businesses from families, or someone else started it, or someone else invested in the company. So you kind of see where everyone's at. And then even you look at yourself and say, okay, I have thought up the idea. I dreamed this from paper into concept and to continue to have it run. And then you want to grow it. And how are you going to grow it? And for me, I have always been somebody who is very visionary, somebody who can see a really big picture. I struggle a little bit with more the finite details. So I can say, we got to do this, 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 this. But then to get to like the nitty gritty, the details, my brain struggles with being able to kind of like slow it down and do those little things, which over the last year and a half, I have had to force myself to step into a role that really requires for me to not be the big dreamer, to be able to really hone it in and make sure that I understand every single facet of a process because of the experiences that I learned. So, and when I started this, I thought to myself, man, I've already been through so much. I was a single mom for quite some time, and I started with nothing and had 3 kids, and I had to provide for myself and my family. And it was a really big struggle. And I had been through quite a bit to that point, and I had experienced a lot of struggle and losses. And I'm like,
something's got to give.
I think we get to a point where it's like, I knew that I wanted to own my own business because I could see that I was gifted at being able to create a brand. Even if it wasn't my own brand, I was able to give it life. I was able to give this brand legs. I was able to create sales from that. But I also created a culture with the brand, right? So people would associate when they saw that brand, kind of that warm, fuzzy feelings. And yes, they would think, oh, Corina, I love Corina. She's so nice and she's so helpful and she follows through and she communicates and, she gets shit done. And so I thought to myself, I don't think I want to be doing this and growing other people's businesses for the rest of my life. I want to start my own. I just could not figure out what that was and what that looked like until one day I had this epiphany, right? It was like, I'm in construction in the commercial real estate industry, and I'm talking to other contractors, and I think it was obviously meant to be, but I did have a general contractor ask me if the company I was working for, if they provided construction cleaning. And I was like, no, but like, let's talk about that, like, and I really had not ever thought about construction cleaning. I was in like janitorial, like very little for like 7 months and in my career. And for me, it just wasn't the thing that I was interested in doing. So it was like, no, I'd rather like do something else. So for me, I was just like, all right, let's learn about construction cleaning. Like, what is this? Help me to understand. And when the contractor was explaining to me their struggles, I was like, okay. So I then did my research, tried to find a company that specialized 100% in construction cleaning, and I could not find one. So, there's a lot of companies that will add construction to their name, but they still focus, their number one core is janitorial. And I realized for the company that I wanted to create, I really wanted to hone in and specialize in a cleaning that was going to change the way that even companies that also have construction cleaning, that would change the entire way of how we do things. Because construction cleaning is not the same as janitorial. It
Right.
go into two different types of facilities. It's a building, but one's done and one's not done, and you have hundreds of
All types of factors. I was going to say all different types of cleanings too. It's completely different.
different phases of clean, and you also have to deal with safety, which is a really big thing. And you want to make sure that your cleaners are very aware of their safety protocols. And to even go beyond that, people who are in the cleaning industry listening to this, when it comes to billing and invoicing, and also your retention that's taken. If you're not skilled, if you're not doing this every single day, and the pay apps that you go with, it's not the same as you win a contract. It's reoccurring. It's kind of a no-brainer. You know what you got to do. This is you got to hustle for that money every single day, and it's not reoccurring. And sometimes you really have to knock on the door of the contractors and say, hey, it's been 60 days, like far too long, but you can only be a squeaky wheel until they finally pay you. So there's just so many different facets of construction cleaning that I really wanted to take the opportunity to see, can it be successful? That was like my number one. And I really believed that it could. And, along the way, most of the companies started in 2020, because in 2019, we dabbled a little bit in
Right. Probably just doing your market research at this point.
well, so yeah. And it just so happened that I got very lucky and got a job within literally, I'm not joking, a week of being like, by the way, I own a construction cleaning company. And that job was I think it was $100,000 for that contract. And boom, out of the gate, I'm like, holy shit, I've got myself a contract. Here we go. But, come 2020, then we're hit with
The world stopped. Yeah.
thinking, how am I going to scale or grow a business and get work if I can't do the marketing the way that I've always been accustomed to doing it, right? Person to person, building relationships. And then that's when I had a lot of time to think. And I think the very first thing that kind of triggered my brain was, I'm not an extrovert. I'm not an extrovert, but I'm also not totally an introvert. But I will say that I have the ability to have extrovert,
When you need to do, right? I was going to say, because you're great at sales. But to a certain extent,
but then
more driven.
I have to literally protect my energy. So then I have to go home. I have to detox my brain, my energy, because it becomes very stressful for me. I don't have, when you network, you can see people who have just tons of friends everywhere and they know everybody. It's for me, I'm a little bit more quiet. I'm the observer, and I'm very one-on-one with people. And so I decided to make a video on LinkedIn and share how anybody can be successful in sales, because I wasn't born with this personality to be this big, loud extrovert that was look at me, this is my business, not feeling scared about meeting with people. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if I can do this. And so I got instantly that video went, and at that time it went viral, right? Considering where I was at, I had probably 3, maybe 5,000 followers, connections. And it just dawned on me, and I was like, this is how I am in person. If I did a sales call and I went into your office, immediately, I want to know about you. I'm not going to even sell you. I'm going to get to know you. I'm going to just be my 100% genuine self and be super low key and make sure that like I can answer any questions that you have, but it's not always going to be about business. It's literally probably going to be mostly about how are your kids? I check out to see what's on their desk or around them. And, oh, did you live in LA? I just moved from LA. You know what I mean? Like I'd have these,
Making that connection is so important.
yeah, these personable conversations that were genuine. And I always made sure that I was true to my authenticity with the people that I met. And I was like, well, I can translate that online. So then that's when I started to share stories about how I even became an entrepreneur and how I started this business and, you know, going from being a single mom to, you know, so when I became a single mom, I had no money and I had no support. And I had left a religion that was very conservative, but also very restrictive. And so basically, I wouldn't say that my family turned their back on me, but they definitely were not like, let me
Super supportive. Right.
your hand through this process. And, you know, getting divorced after 10 years, it was, you know, that whole family just totally turned their back on me. And I was like, either I sink or I swim.
Right.
And I wasn't getting any financial support. So for me, I had to try to go back to school, get some student loans to like survive initially and also be on welfare too. And I felt so much shame around that for such a long time. I was just like, you know, you know what, and talk it's out crying. And I can't even tell you how much healing I've done being able to say, this is me and this is my true story. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. No. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that, you know, with us. I know it can be hard to bring up times that we're struggling, but I do want to say that, you know, I'm super proud of you. And for anybody listening, you know, life is not perfect. We all go through stuff. I have a, you know, similar story of, you know, breaking up, being flat broke, having to start all over again. So ladies, if you're listening, make sure you got some kind of side hustle, some kind of business. But those really, really low moments are like literally what makes us come out on top, right? Because if it weren't for you, at least I believe, right, to hit that moment and you're like, oh my God, like, what do I do? Like you said, you were in like sink or swim like mode, right? But no, thank you for sharing that with us. I really do appreciate that. There's so many people that go through these like really hard times in life, whether it's like family or losing someone or, you know, being homeless or not being able to afford groceries. And there is a lot of shame and stigma around that. And I used to also struggle with that a lot. Like if the day that I had first seen you, if somebody would have asked anything about my past, I would have just kept my mouth zipped. I would have pretend that everything was great. Life is, you know, been fabulous. But I just want to say thank you. It's really important that we are able to share stuff like that because it's relatable. It really is.
It really does. Like you either have the opportunity to take those low moments and do something about it, or you can be a product of those low moments, which some people don't ever get out of. And it's not because they can't. It's all
They don't think they can.
all about your mindset. Your mindset. And it's something that you have to work on every single day. And I still work on it every single day. It doesn't necessarily get easier, but it's like you have the tools, you know how to do it, and it's whether or not you turn the knob.
Right.
It's that easy. It's literally like taking it and turning it and opening the door every single time because it's right in front of you. And we all have these opportunities. It's just a matter of like, are you willing to make the change? And it's painful and it's scary.
Oh yeah.
It's not.
It's a lot. It is a lot. Like we were saying with your story, that's a lot of change, right? Obviously, there was multiple different things going on. People letting you down, you know, not having that support system that a lot of people have and that most people need. But like you said, just like taking that and saying, you know what, I'm not gonna stay down. I'm not going to continue to take that help on.
Yeah. And sharing those moments really helped me build this, I guess, this unstoppable idea or this brand of like, how did you do this? And I really had to look back at my life and say, what did I do? What were the steps that I took so that I can, recreate it for other people? And then from there, it really just started to scale my business and unscale the entire Unstoppable brand itself. But what's interesting is like I think I mentioned earlier in this podcast being like, I thought that I had been through a lot of hardship. Like I thought that I was like, okay, I got this business. It should be smooth sailing from here.
Right.
And no, it hasn't been. Have I had moments of like super high highs of like really exciting things? I have. I absolutely have. And I used to be somebody who'd be like, I can't wait to share what this exciting thing is about to happen and drop it. And the last 2 years has been for me a very big like reflection on who I am, how I want to present myself to the world, and staying within my true authentic nature of being. And, that all has to do with knowing nothing, learning everything in the real world, and then stepping into a business, knowing nothing other than what you're good at, right? So for me, I'm like killer at sales and making a brand, and I'm doing everything I'm supposed to. But if the people on your team are not on the same wavelength of being people with integrity, people with honesty, the same character,
Yeah.
you're going to learn things a little bit the hard way. And there is a real thing of if you have a partnership, I don't know what it's like to be in a business partnership with a woman. I've been a part of one other company. My partner was a male, got out of that business, was not a good experience with that. This time it would be better. And it was a interesting ride because there is and can be narcissistic tendencies in a relationship of business.
Oh, yes.
And I unfortunately had to learn all of that the very, very hard way because I'm a type of personality who's like, I'm going to drive my vehicle, and my expectation is that you're going to drive your vehicle. And I'm not someone who's going to be dishonest. So my expectation is that you're not going to be dishonest. And that's not how it always is going to be. So I unfortunately had to learn that in some crazy turn of events. But, and then I had started and I wanted to start a franchise, which we did. We pulled it up off the ground, and I had two more male. This is just part of my lesson is I'm not going to have a business partner who's a man.
It's difficult too with women. I'm not gonna say because I can only tell you I've been in business with women before. I think it's probably just across the board. It's tough because it's like,
Partnerships are hard in general.
it is. Yes, it is. Like, because I've even been in business with family and that wasn't great. So I've had some pretty bad experiences also trying to partner up with people or considering starting a business. So yeah, I think it's a very, for anyone that's listening, that's thinking, should you get a business partner? For me, the question is like, do you really need one, right? Like, no, I'm just saying like in general, right? Like, do you really need one? Is that person going to bring to the table what they say they're going to? You never know. And like, unfortunately, at least based on my experience, like it takes time to really get to know somebody, right?
But even then, you can know someone for a long ass time. You can know someone for years and years and years. And until they finally get that hook and bait, that's what they're going to do. And for me, I was the visionary. And I've had a lot of leeches try to take a bite of what I was creating. And, my weakness was running the operations. I felt very like I've never done this. It's not my skill set. And it left me very vulnerable. And I didn't really know what to do. I kept thinking, no, maybe I'm making this stuff up. Like, what if I'm totally wrong? And you know how some men are? They're like, oh, you're being too emotional about this. Or,
Right.
It's the whole emotion thing that they like to throw in your face. And I'm like, well, I'm in a male dominated industry. I've got to be a badass. I have to be like a man.
Right. You gotta act
The way that I'm acting. And so I never really wanted to put my guard down in the sense that was like overreacting or anything. I was just like absorbing. I was watching and watching. And I had to learn a few hard lessons, kind of like almost the 9th hour, like, are you going to do the right thing, motherfucker? Sorry. It's kind of like,
you're fine.
you know, like, are you going to do the right thing? Are you? Because if not, you know, things are about to just like get a little messy, but it's okay because I have been watching and doing stuff to protect myself, protect the business. And I'm very proud of myself for doing things methodically, making sure that I had my ducks, even though I felt like I had no control over anything and I felt very scared.
Right.
That I was doing everything that I could on the back end without, you know, waving or like making a lot of noise to kind of like cause a fuss, but it was more of, I'm waiting to see, what are you going to do? And if you do what I think you're going to do, I'm not going to let you do it. Right?
Yeah.
Really important as a woman to be able to have that confidence, because if you're not confident, you're going to make the wrong decisions. If you're not confident, you are going to fall flat on your face. And the way that you have confidence is by having the right people in your corner and someone who understands every aspect of business, which is typically going to be an attorney, somebody who knows all 9 yards of everything. And for me, you know, my right-hand person over the last year and a half has been the most amazing female attorney that has given me my business back, my life back, has allowed me to pursue justice for myself, but also feel like I don't have to drive that anymore in my life.
Right.
I just leave it to her. And I will say, out of all the things that I've learned in business, is that if I knew and understood how imperative it is to have someone who truly understands inside out of business, which is going to be a business attorney, I could have saved myself so much grief from
Beginning, right? Came early on.
So for me, my biggest like testament is anybody who's starting a business, anyone who's just started a business, the very first thing that you have to invest in is finding your right hand who's going to be your attorney, because they will literally save you from so much grief and they're going to give you the best counsel. But I will put like a little asterisk on that, because you can also find attorneys who just want to take your money.
Right.
So I would give that a thumbs down. If it don't,
I don't know how that happened. I tilted my head and I'm like,
don't my name, jeez. But you know, it's like we have to be able to like invest. It's investing in our education, right? Because we're not schooled in these things, but you're going to have to hire someone who is going to protect you and keep you from predators, which is what happened to me. My skill set attracted predators. And I'm thinking, look at we're scaling, look what we're doing. And my brand was creating revenue, was creating opportunities, was building, growing. And not only was it this like successful venture, but it was also being recognized, which, you know, people will want to just kind of attach themselves to that so that they can reap the rewards without being creative in their minds.
right.
And it's pretty unfortunate that, you know, I think I'm like, oh God, what a pain in the ass that I had to deal with all that. But at the same time,
Definitely prepared you for whatever is coming next, for everything that you're working on.
Yeah.
Like, we don't see it when it's happening because it's like a shit show, obviously, like what you sound like you went through in business. It sounds like it was a lot emotionally, obviously, time-wise, money-wise, having to defend yourself against people that you were supposed to be working with. And, you know, kudos to you for, again, continuing to be unstoppable at like every single devil that you encounter at every level that you're at. And it is truly amazing because most people would just give up, right? They just be like, no, that's it. I can't, I'm never going to go to business again. I'm never going to trust anyone again. But like, no, you saw where things didn't go right. And unfortunately, how people can be unpredictable and let us down. But now, moving forward, okay, I've got my female attorney. I don't need anybody's help. And if I do have a partner one day, there's a lot that's going to go into vetting somebody. And like you said, though, you can know somebody for years. I work with family that, I would never imagine them taking business or doing something, not right, ethical, but it does, it's unfortunate, but like I said, I see this being just like this preparing you for something like so much bigger that nobody can try to take that credit away from or try to put the Unstoppable brand or Karina's name in front of.
Well, you know what like kept motivating me was that I had built this beloved, it sounds so funny because, and you probably feel the same when you make a cleaning company brand that feels so warm and people love it. And your work ethic, right? Your team relies on you and your team is killing it out there. And I just continue to see work coming in, my clients being 100% satisfied. And we have had the same team, like our lead, like our main people we've had for the last 4 years because they love being a part of the CPR difference. And I just felt like I could not let this brand that I put my entire love, everything that I've put in it, I couldn't just let it be sucked dry because of people who were only money hungry. This meant way more to me than anything else, right? And so when I saw that here's my beautiful little business still just doing and churning and going, it was like I needed to like cut these people off my like these tentacles and just be like, you're done. And then that's when I really got to dive deep and to be like, if this ship is going to sink, I will be the one to sink it. You know what I mean? Because I can't seem to get it together. So that's when I was like, it was basically like cold turkey, swoop out, the people who no longer need to be here were gone. But I was like, okay, now here I am in operations. We were at that time literally booking jobs, you're scheduling. We have probably typically like at least 30 to 60 bids a week that we submit. And that's just in, Phoenix that we do. So we have just a shit ton. And I hadn't done estimating, scheduling, organizing our team on where to go, who's doing what. And because it was just such a cold turkey, like out the door, I remember I was sitting in a hotel room at the time and I was like, oh my God, world. And it was a huge mess. And I anticipated that everything in the back end was going to be just a shit show.
Right.
But like I said, I was like, okay, either I'm going to sink or fucking swim here. I'm going to fucking. So I just sat in this hotel room for days until I could wrap my head around what I was going to do, how I was going to structure it, how we were going to move forward. And I have been so incredibly blessed. I can't even the words of being blessed is not enough because not only did my brain, which I had mentioned, it's not my skill set. I'm a dreamer. I'm somebody who can create all of these ideas, but it's not my natural skill set to be a salesperson. I'm just a great storyteller and I'll tell you true stories. So it's not fictional.
Right. You're being real. You're being yourself.
And so, I'm like, okay, well, if that wasn't my and my truest nature of being, it was something that I really had to work hard because it was either I put food on the table or I don't. I figured it out. So I'm thinking, okay, operations, I'm just going to have to slow my brain down a little bit more and say, you're going to focus on doing and learning and figuring it out. And now, when I only knew a portion of my business, I know everything from the inside out. And, not only did we then certify as 100% business owned company, we are the, WENBC. Thank you.
Congratulations.
And I'm like, damn, that's what it should have been from the very beginning. But, here we are.
That's awesome. Listen, you live and you learn. Like I said, you had to go through this because you needed that shake. You needed God, whatever you want to call it, to give you that shake and be like, Corina, you don't need anybody. Like, you don't need any. You are the brand. You are CPR construction cleaning. You are unstoppable. And I don't know what that is. I mean, it all depends on what's going on. But sometimes I deal with that too. It's like, oh, maybe it'll be better if, we come together. But it's like, no, you've got it. You've got everything that you need to be successful.
Yeah. And it's honestly true. Like, you may not have it or understand it at first, but if you're willing to figure it out and learn, and that's exactly what I did. And then I made my circle really, really small over a year.
Yay. Thank you. It's an honor.
And I, kept telling myself, I'm like, everything that you've told people, your circumstances are not you. They don't define your future. They do not define what you're meant to experience in this life. They're happening. How are you going to get through them? And it's really interesting because I'm like, I'm literally having to live by my own words that I promoted for years.
Isn't it like tough? Isn't it always different? Like, it's one thing to like motivate people on top, but then it's like when it's you going through it, you have to repeat that information to yourself. And it's almost like, it's crazy. Like, you do have to remind yourself, like, wait a minute, I'm telling people this all day long. It's like, I need to follow my own words sometimes.
Yeah. And you feel like there were so many times I was just like, no, I want to give up. Or I felt like paralyzed where I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I should be doing. I'm so like confused. And how is this happening to me? And maybe I should just give up. Maybe, I'm like drowning over here. And I at least would have enough to get like one foot in front of the other. And if that was all I could do in that day, that was okay because I didn't move backwards. I literally took one step ahead of me. And now being in this place that I am, which is now like for me is a process of healing, right? And being able to overcome the very difficult challenges that I faced, but also the heartbreak that I experienced because I'm such a genuine person and my relationships are very authentic. I mean, the betrayal is just so incredibly fierce that now I'm going through a process of healing. And you never know what is ahead of you. You really don't, but you can always just try to make the best of where you're at today. And that's how I look forward to the future and keep my eyes set on goals and things that I really want to do, like what makes me tick, what makes me happy. And the most important thing that makes me happy is, seeing my team successful and happy, seeing them be prosperous, and also helping other people. And so I'm like, well, how am I going to be able to do that also on essentially like a full-time basis? Like, what can I do? Well, first I'm going to have to heal a little bit from the experience that I've been through because I have a little bit of PTSD. Not going to lie.
Listen, I don't blame you. As it's natural. I don't blame you.
The other thing that has allowed me to reflect and see, what are some things that I could have done better? Because one of the very first things, if you have my business manifestation journal that I created, I think back in 20.
Yes, I do. And I will be putting the link in the description of this video for anybody that's interested.
Well, so at the intro, it talks about how the most important and key action for you to do to find this unstoppable power within is to reflect within yourself and say, what are things that I could do better? And it's not about like putting yourself down, but it's about seeing what's going on that continues to show up in my life. How do I respond? And that is the only way. Like, if you cannot see the errors of your ways in life, in relationships, in business, in friendships, you're going to continue to repeat the same pattern, but also the things will continue to come to you until you actually learn. It's this karmic lesson that continues to happen. And so I've had this time to reflect, and it's all about being confident in who I am, my skill set, and stop giving power to other people in areas that I lack confidence. So, I felt like I had done that in the past, like stop giving away my power, but it was only in certain aspects of my life. It wasn't in, places where I really needed to do a deep dive and accept, these are my weaknesses. This is where I'm giving my power over. And this is why I have experienced this, is because I want to be somebody who's very trusting, but I have to be smart about it. Because whenever you attract light, you attract darkness. So if you're somebody who's a light, you're going to bring in darkness, and you have to be prepared and ready to be protected from that. And, I thought I'd share this on your podcast so that, you kind of, I'm not really one to be sharing, oh, this is what I'm doing now. Like I used to be. Right now, I've definitely kept it pretty,
Well, yeah, because of the people that literally you have to almost keep your plans. It's ridiculous, girl. If I told you the things that I say, or if I do something and then I open up the internet and then those darkness, they're like doing this. It's ridiculous. So I know why you don't like to get too much information, and so I appreciate that.
It's because there are people who lack creativity. Those are the people who will to try and basically be a leech on you. They lack creativity, but they see it and they know it, and they know exactly what to do and how to do it so that you become vulnerable to them.
Yep.
So over the last year, I thought to myself, in all the situations that I had these pitfalls, what would have changed my life? And it just kept going back to the same thing. And I feel like it almost sounds like a no-brainer, but yet I can guarantee you majority of people, and like, let's just single out women. Majority of women don't have access, resources, or support, but having your right hand, which is going to be an attorney. So I also could see why I felt that I didn't have the opportunity to have somebody in my corner when I was alone, when I didn't have anybody, when I had people who turned their back on me and weren't going to be supportive or reach their hand out to me. And so, at the time, it was like, I didn't have the money. You don't have the resource, right? Education. I went from being a stay-at-home mom for 10 years, not really knowing anything other than raising children, and, being in this religion that is very right. You're doing stuff with the church Sundays, Wednesdays. You've got all these things that you have to meet.
Right.
You go visit people. You have to go and do your church work and all this stuff. And so my life was 100% evolved around homemaking and supporting the church. So I didn't have any kind of like education, or nothing was beyond that. So like in a very small bubble. And I know I'm not alone. Like, that's the thing I keep saying, is like, somebody may not have the same kind of like background, but they may be in the same situation where their resources only go as far as, this small little bubble that they have. And so I have been working on building a organization that is, unstoppable women in business, empowering through legal and beyond, so that we can create an opportunity to educate ourselves on every facet of legal. We can create resources, we can create contacts, we can have people, feel confident and understanding the business world. And you're going to step in to this space and know everything you need to know. And when you don't, you have the confidence in saying, okay, well, I'm going to connect with so-and-so because I just saw them in our, bi-monthly meeting or something like that, to be able to educate me on X, Y, and Z. And that to me is like my motivating factor, is to help other women not have to go through what I did and have to learn things the hard way, the tell, and that's where it's like, I think like life is kind of funny, because I'm like, I was talking to my attorney and I was like telling her, I tell her everything. I'm like, this is now what I'm going to do. Do you give me thumbs up or a thumbs down? Like, you tell me if I'm on the right path. And, she told me that, there are really no organizations that 100% focus on legal support for women. There are like organizations that offer a class, but it kind of goes back to that whole thing, is like, legality is huge. It's monstrous. And everyone specializes in something different. So when you're kind of going through, like, let's just say, for instance, a husband and a wife own a business and they've owned the business for 10, 15 years together. Not only is that person going to need an attorney for, divorce attorney, then you're going to have to also have your business attorney. Then you're also going to have your financial attorney that is able to do deep dives and do like forensic, like finances.
Yeah.
It's like literally so intense that you almost feel like you're about to be capsized. But you don't have to feel like that.
Right.
You don't. And I learned that. And I know firsthand that you do not have to live that way. And nobody should have to live that way. And nobody should ever feel like you don't have the resources to not get the proper support. And if that's holding anyone back from being able to say, well, can I venture out on my own? Can I do this by myself? Hell fucking yeah, you can. You just need yourself somebody who is going to be in your corner, that when you sign a contract or you have someone come into your business and they try to, steal your ideas, you have that attorney who's already, creating an NDA coming into your business. And it sounds like could be, it's like, oh, is that seamless? No, it's not. Does it take resource? Yes, but it's possible. It is 100% possible to be able to be strong in business, be successful, and then either one day you decide to sell it and create that wealth for yourself and for your family, or create something that's generational that you pass down to your children. What a beautiful thing that you can do, right? Instead of, how many people like shut down their businesses because of stories like mine?
A lot. And because he's, like you said, there's just like that lack of resource and education and a lot of fear, I think, behind, right? It's just, everything just seems so overwhelming when we're going through issues, especially if it's something that like an attorney should be handling, or that you could, it's almost debilitating for some people. So the fact that, you're creating these resources so that women cannot have to go through the experiences that you went through, I think is amazing. That made me really, really like super, super happy, actually. Because I'm thinking like, wow, like, yeah, like where are these resources?
Yeah.
How do we so you're creating this, which I think is amazing. And I know a lot of people are going to be asking me, so how do people get into contact with you, or like Unstoppable? Where are the best places to find you, to follow you on this journey? Because I know you obviously have your cleaning business, which is, your core business.
And my baby.
Your baby, right? You fought the tooth and nail for.
Okay. Exactly.
And now you're on this journey of inspiring other people, which I think you do, even you don't even realize you're doing it. But also helping women with these resources. How do we find you? How do we follow you? How do we support you?
So it's still in this like work in progress type thing, but it's going to evolutionize and roll out this year.
I'm so excited.
I would definitely follow.
You're huge on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn, so I would definitely follow my platform, because you're gonna absolutely see it right then and there. But I'm kind of rebranding, but it's not rebranding because it's still Unstoppable. But Unstoppable has a LinkedIn page, but it's gonna be expanded out. So right now it's just it's all things Unstoppable, but I really want to like hyper focus on the things that I feel could have changed my life from the moment that I wanted more for myself. My life could be different today if I had that support, right? And I just feel so grateful though that I found my attorney, she inspires me. Like, she's a badass single mom, and she has her own personal like health stuff that she deals with. And when I feel like God, how can I do this? I like think about her and I'm like, she could have looked at me in my case and been like, nah, too complicated.
Right.
No, she was like, no, let's do this shit. Let's kick some ass. Let's bring some justice to the doors of people who have taken and taken and taken. And she's doing it as a single mom, and her life isn't perfect. Her life is it's so far from being like that perfect of like what we're like, we want to feel great every single fucking day. And she's like, I get up and I do my shit and I take care of my daughter and I give her a great life. And for me, I'm like, if she can do it, why not?
No.
Right? Because I'm not facing these challenges behind everything. And so for me, like, she is like a true testament to me and has always been like that behind the scenes, like, motivation to create something that represents her for me. Because she gave me my confidence and for like I could have my life back. And what's interesting though about, like, we hear so many stories about the past, right? Like, even the stuff I share was always like, I've been through that. I overcame it. Now I'm going to share my story. But I think it's so important that we also share stuff that doesn't necessarily have an ending quite yet, that we're still living it every single day. Still the things that I have like put into motion, I'm waiting to see a result. I don't have necessarily that happy ending or the justice quite yet. But I'm not going to
It'll come.
I'm not going to let that hold me back from living my life or saying, I'm going to help people. I'm going to provide an opportunity that if God has given me the chance to have a platform that people listen to, I have to do this. I can't wait, until I can have this pretty packaged happy ending to deliver to people, And I think a lot of people are scared to do that. And I know that I was scared to ever say anything. And so I just stayed quiet. But,
well, no, I appreciate you sharing all of, everything that you've been through. I had no idea, you guys. So this is news to me also. So I really do appreciate you sharing this. It's so personal, talking about business and the pitfalls and the ups and the downs and what you're still going through. And not that it makes the situation better, but I kind of feel like this about myself too, in a sense where it's like, okay, I have my story. I've been through what I've been through. Of course, I'm still going through what I'm going through today, but it's like, it's almost like we go through it so that other people don't have to necessarily, right? So if I have to be a martyr of some sort, or you have to be able to help and reach and inspire and help, thousands of women in the next coming years, millions of women, then that's just, so be it in a sense. I believe that we go through things that we can, necessarily get through that most people wouldn't. But most importantly, I think it is more about like, how do we now take what we've been through and try to minimize people's, stress and just make the way for them just a little bit easier in a sense. So I think everything that you're doing with your attorney, who shout out to her, I love her just from everything that you've said during this interview. But I think it's amazing, and I can't wait to see just the progress that you're going to be going through with Unstoppable and all the women that you're going to be helping. Because it's a journey, and it's just awesome. Like you did go quiet for like a year and some change. I knew you were working on something, right? Because like I get the same way. I'm like, oh, stop, this has to get taken care of. But yeah, I just want to tell you, like, I'm super proud of you also. Like, so proud of you and everything that you've done and every situation that you've been in. that you've been able to pick yourself out of, but show up on top, right? Like always come out on top, even though might not always be up on top, but still coming out on top, coming out with all of these new things that you've learned, all these new skills, being able to help people. It's very selfless. So I do want to say thank you so much. And I know 100% for a fact, we're going to get plenty of comments on this YouTube video talking about women that are in very similar, and men that are in very similar situations as yourself or have been at some point in life. And I know that even just this one podcast is definitely going to change a couple of lives.
I think about like we have children, right? And we want our kids to have a better life than what we've experienced, right? So then we teach them these are the pitfalls. This is the way that you make decisions. And then our children are more successful. They have less pitfalls that they're dealing with. And it doesn't have to just be our kids. So I feel like
I agree.
There are some people in this world who it's written in the stars for them to go through some of the most challenging experiences because they are meant to be a voice and share. Whether it's someone like Tony Robbins or someone that is literally changing lives, but we don't even know who their name is.
Right.
It doesn't matter. That is what your calling is to be and to do. And so I feel the same, even though it's like not my children, right?
Right.
But it's like
You want to help
people who are meant to do great things, but maybe it's not necessarily written in the stars for them to go through a very hellish experience and come back from it. They're waiting for people like us who have been through some of the darkest places to remind them that there is light and that they can, get to that spot. And it's encouragement. It's confident. Like I'm going to say confident. Yeah. Like it's literally all these things, and then it's these stories that we share that then give people a totally different perspective because we're looking, especially we live in this day and age where we're in social media.
Right.
And we see a perspective of like, oh, it's so easy to make this video and then get all these followers. Oh, it's so easy to, get residual income. All you got to do is this, oh, I got this win. Oh, positive, positive, positive. And it's not being negative, but it's about being like
honest. It's about being honest.
Really happening. This is the story. This is the journey. And maybe you're still going through it, or maybe you finally have an ending. And from that ending, oh my God, there's this song that I recently started listening to. And the beginning of the lyrics is, gosh, how does it go? Either it works out or it passes. Nothing is ever bad.
Right.
It passes, like this too shall pass.
Right.
So these hardships do not define us. It passes. And what you learn and gain from that moment of feeling like you're in the depths of hell is what creates the rose or the phoenix or the diamond. You know what I mean?
No, 100%.
And that's like my mentality is like, I don't know where or how this will evolutionize. I don't know. I don't know if I'm able to take it as far as I want to, like my dreams of where I want to be with my business and with taking Unstoppable. But it doesn't matter because right now I'm working on what needs to be done today to get me to tomorrow. And along the way, who am I impacting? And just trust in the universe that it's going to take me on the journey that I need to be on to create the end result, not for me, but for my children, for, other people and their lives. Because if they have children, then they're going to positively impact their families. That to me is my number one, focus and desire of, where I'm moving and how, what's the end outcome, of all of this, because who the heck knows? I would have never guessed that I would have gone through so much that I have. So,
well, I'm tell you what, I'm very excited to see how this all plays out because I'm always watching you and seeing what you're doing. And I know that you're gonna crush all the goals and maybe what you're thinking of as big, you might even go bigger, right? Or like you might end up helping millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of women and people across the world. So I'm excited to watch your journey over the next couple of years. And yeah, I just want to say like thank you so much for sharing. This has probably been the best podcast. No offense to any of my other guest on the show, but this is really like one of like the best podcasts because you really talk about a lot of stuff that people go through and you're going to inspire a ton of people just from listening to this. And like I said, you inspired me. You didn't even know, I didn't even know who you were. I was just like somewhere in the back row watching and I'm like, wow, like this woman is very, very powerful and like how she speaks and what she does. So I want to say thank you, on behalf of everybody for not just taking the time out of your day today to come on the podcast, but for sharing all those personal, things that have happened to you in business and being so open and vulnerable and sharing with us. And we will definitely be having an updated video because whether it's in a year from now, it's 16 months, but I definitely would love to do a follow-up video because I know you're going to crush it. And yeah, if you guys want to follow Corina,
My computer is about to die, and I'm so scared to like lose you.
No, you're fine because I'm wrapping it up. It's okay. I was going to say, if you guys want to follow Corina, I'm going to be putting all of her information in the description of this video. So make sure you guys follow her on LinkedIn, give her a follow on all social media platforms. I'm also going to be linking her affirmation journal that I do have. And it's awesome. You can write down your goals. You can write down your daily affirmations. And it really is something that works. I've been doing it more lately. And I think it's just awesome. I love everything that you do. And I can't wait to hear an update.
I was about to say, I always like to hear updates of my life too.
Oh, look here.
It's going on for tomorrow.
I know. You just got to sit down. Like, listen, all right. Day 23.
I know. I'm like, God, somebody should literally, what they do, the new mom talk or whatever. I don't know if you know anything about that, but because I also grew up Mormon, it kind of falls close to home. And that girl, right, she took this whole like idea and then, put her life on like social media. So everyone's like following everything. I'm like, damn, this girl's life is interesting. You should fucking follow my life. Like,
exactly.
Not only am I juggling, well, now I have 3 kids at home because I finally got my oldest off. And then my second one is now in college too. And I have 3 at home and then running a business and just trying to be a badass.
All things fabulous, doing all of these things, which is like all in itself, girl. Let me tell you, I've been trying to keep up with my looks and it's a lot of work, the nail salon, this and that. So the fact that you're running a business, keeping it together, building a platform to help other people, it speaks volumes about your personality. And I want to say again, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It has been a long wait, but I feel like it was 1000% worth it. So thank you so much. I'm sure you're going to get a ton of DMs and messages from this video. And again, you guys, be sure to give Corina a follow. We're definitely going to have a follow-up video with her in a few months from now so that we can catch up and see where she's at. But thank you so much, Corina.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
No, of course. Thank you so much. And we will see you guys on the next podcast. Be sure to give Corina a follow. Check out her journal that I'm going to be linking in the description of this video. And leave us some comments. If you related to this podcast in any way, shape, or form, let us know. Drop your comments down below. We want Corina to let her know how much we appreciate her sharing her story. And let's definitely be supportive in everything that she does. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys loved this episode.